What's up, everybody? King Triple C here, the Olympic champion, flyweight champion, the bantamweight champion of the world. And I got a public service announcement to all you wannabe MMA casuals or MMA fans for that reason. You guys make sure to listen to my boy Story of the Fight with Will and Miro. You know why? Because Triple C said so. And if you don't, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to King Triple C 2.
All right, now your nephew into the Air Force.
Yeah. Shout out to Ruben, also in the Air Force. Shout out to Jake, also in the Navy.
Dang.
Yeah.
What am I doing with my life right now?
That's what I'm saying. All my friends
I'm just
joined
sitting
the
here
military.
talking MMA.
all my friends joined the military. Here I am.
Dude, yeah, we're just sitting here talking MMA, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Did you have anything else going? I mean, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was our first weekend that we didn't post anything since starting this, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, I just
Hey, it's gonna happen though. You know what I mean? Like life comes up and stuff, so
yeah,
it's bound to happen.
Yeah, I went. What is crazy though is that card, we won't talk really about that card, but I picked all 10 fights, and I was 8 for 10. I lost the co-main and the main event, but I picked every single fight up until that point. So that was a bummer. I was super stoked going into the co-main, and then rained on my parade.
Yeah, that's when I told you I went with that the nice parlay.
Yeah.
And it just gets jacked at the end.
Yeah. Old man Glover.
Glover, man, like, come on.
It just won't
so
go
selfish.
away.
He's so selfish. Like, I had a really good parlay going.
I know.
Oh, right. Man. Yeah, over on my end, you haven't done really much. Work's getting super busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm off today. I'll be off tomorrow, the day this posts. And then I work 9 days in a row, all over 10-hour shifts.
Nice.
So that's going to be
nice,
sick.
Dude, yesterday I was up since like 3:45 in the morning.
Fuck.
Yeah, got to work at 5, and then got home like around 6:37. And that's when I told you, I'm like, hey, I'm just turning the fights on now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm surprised that I even stayed awake through the Felder Anjos fight.
That's so gnarly.
I know. But when I first turned it on, I think it was on the I caught the last piece of the Allen Strickland fight.
Okay.
Watched the entire Yoder fight,
mm-hmm.
and then went from there.
Okay, right on. Yeah, it was a pretty fun card.
Yeah, so I had to go back. Yeah, I had to go back and watch McKenna versus Hansen.
Yeah, that was cool. Real quick, moment of silence. This card got done real dirty. We had 8 canceled fights on this card. Jose Quijones, however you pronounce that last name. Luis Smolka.
Quijones.
Yeah, that got cut because Smolka missed weight by 3.5 pounds or something like that, and then they medically didn't clear him after that. So I don't know what happened there. That's a bummer. Other bummer is Eric Anders versus Antonio Arroyo. Would have been fun. Also, weight cut issues for Eric Anders. And then Brian Barberena was supposed to fight Daniel Rodriguez on this card. I love Brian Barberena. That dude's a brawler. Would have been fun to watch.
And we love Rodriguez too.
Yeah, Rodriguez is great too. And the biggest is Makhachev versus RDA. Makhachev had to pull out. So a moment of silence for those
Sucks, dude. Sucks. Anders too. Like, I enjoy watching that guy fight.
Yeah.
He always puts on exciting fights. So
yeah, a lot of good fights were fizzled out on this card, but it still was a fun card for me to watch at least.
R.I.P. to those fights.
R.I.P. to those fights, but
it could have been a lot worse though.
From the ashes of those fights, Paul Felder rises again.
That was very dramatic. I love it.
The Irish Dragon.
The Irish Dragon, yes.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and get started with McKenna versus Hansen.
Yeah. This was a fun fight, dude. It wasn't. I think McKenna's the youngest fighter on the roster right now. Had your boy, special appearance from your boy in the corner. I'm sure you were stoked about that.
Dude,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
You're our favorite, bro.
I didn't even realize. I didn't even notice you were wearing that.
California kid, you're our favorite.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
dude, what
dude,
did you
this
think
was
about
one
this
of
fight?
my favorite fights. It was one of my favorite fights. It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Both of the girls were game, man.
Dude.
This is a stacked weight division,
Yeah.
so getting to see a couple of prospects that were both game. And the thing that I also enjoyed, though, was just hearing some of these backstories. Like when they were
dude.
when they were talking, was it Hansen that was a softball player, like standout softball player in high school, was getting collegiate offers, decides to drop out her junior year?
Yeah.
What happened?
It's just it's a ballsy move.
Dude, yeah.
Turned down like a full ride
Just-
scholarship or something.
Yeah, and she's like, she watched Ronda Rousey's fight versus Beish Gohea, which isn't probably the best thing to see and be like,
It's inspiring, dude. It's inspiring stuff. It made Joe Rogan cry.
But props to her. She's in the big show now in the UFC, so she's one step closer to making her dreams come true, right? Of becoming a champ. But dude, that is ballsy.
Yeah.
So just hearing some of these stories was pretty neat. And then you know how I feel about Team Alpha Male, Will. So
Yeah. It was
gonna
cool
see
seeing.
McKenna and
It was cool seeing Faber. I like seeing.
dude, it's
Faber.
cool
He's such a
seeing
cool guy.
Faber and seeing Danny Castillo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And just any time that I see anybody Team Alpha Male, I still root for him, man.
Yeah.
I still root for him.
I get
And
it.
as much as TJ Dillashaw pisses me off, like there's still that relationship with Team Alpha Male where it still holds a little, place in my heart
Yeah.
because of that. But dude, I thought it was a really fun fight.
Dude, it was super fun. It was so back and forth. I honestly, when it went to the judges, I was like, I really don't know, like who this is gonna go to. But I wasn't upset with either. I actually thought, like live watching it, I thought Hansen maybe edged it out. But I was going into it, the decision. I was like, whatever they decide, I'm fine with because it was such a close fight. They
I
fucked
felt
up
the
on
exact same way.
They fucked up on the scorecards. I think it was on this fight where Bruce Buffer announced a 27-26 on accident. It's like, woo, a rare Bruce Buffer mess up.
Yeah, no, but I felt the same way where I thought either way it goes
Yeah,
would be fine. I also kind of edged it to Hansen, but then I started thinking about it more, and I think about like the end of the first round where Hansen had McKenna's back.
yeah,
And she literally just held her there.
yeah.
And it was just McKenna just punching her like this over and over. And Hansen kind of just squinting, like trying to absorb the punches to her forehead. And
Yeah.
that was the end of the round. And Hansen had most of the ground control time. Mm-hmm. But what did she really do with it?
Yeah, not much. She did threaten
you
with a
see
few
some nice-
submissions. That was cool.
She did.
Yeah.
You see some nice sweeps from McKenna come through, and it's kind of like that conversation we had on the last podcast, Will, where you're talking about, how do you score that,
Yeah.
right, with these sweeps. And after McKenna had these sweeps, I feel like she was more aggressive
Yeah, once she ended
when
up
she
on
had
top.
the ground control. Yeah, absolutely. So I could see how it went to McKenna.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, either way, it would have been justified. Yeah, it was a fun fight. Did you catch how many times Michael Bisping screwed up the names in this fight?
What, just this fight or throughout the entire night? I felt like he was a little off.
I know, this fight specifically. Well, but to his credit, I don't know if he was even slated to be here for this night. I think it might have been because
so props
of
to Felder to
Yeah.
answering this call on 5 days. Props to Bisping for
Yeah.
answering the other call in a 5-day notice.
Yeah, exactly.
But for sure, at least get the names right.
Yeah, I wonder if they did plan on having the 3-man team with all three of them, or if Bisping stepped in to replace Felder on 5 days.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like usually when there's not any big names on a card, it's usually just a two-man team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might have just been Felder that was planned to go on there, but Felder had other plans and other
Yeah.
dude. But still, I always enjoy listening to Bisping.
Yeah, same. He's hilarious.
And when he messes up, like when I listen to other like, if I were to listen to Dominic Cruz mess up, I'd be like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
I listen to Bisping, and I'm like, he's so funny.
I know, it's like, fucking Bisping, come on.
Yeah, it's Bisping. All right, man. The next fight was Allen versus Strickland. So, with your boy Strickland,
Yeah.
he reminded me very much of the Diaz brothers.
Yeah, he's a middleweight Diaz brother.
Right? Where he doesn't put too much behind his punches, a little bit higher volume. And it doesn't look like it's a lot of power, but it's just constant strikes and with precision and accuracy. And it just started taking a toll on Allen, man.
Yeah, you have Nate at lightweight, Nick at welterweight, and Strickland at middleweight for sure. Because, man, the only thing that worries me about his style is he has almost zero head movement, and his chin is straight up. Like when he's throwing, it's just like this as he's coming forward, and it's like
rock 'em, sock 'em.
Yeah, and it's a dangerous game. But if he can just overwhelm you like he did in this fight and just continually just touch you, it's like they always say like don't chase the knockout. Like the knockout will come if you just stick through it. And that's like 100% what happened here. He just was just bam, 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 not rearing back on anything, just constantly fists to the face. Brandon Allen, and also took this fight on. He won 2 weeks ago. He won a fight 2 weeks ago. On
Halloween, right?
Yeah, and then takes this on short notice to fight Brandon Allen, who is tough. Brandon Allen is super tough because I want to say, didn't he have another fight scheduled? I mean, obviously he did, but yeah, he was supposed to fight Heinich. Like, that's rankings wise, at least, that's the UFC telling you that Brandon Allen is someone to look forward to watching, because they're not just going to give somebody Heinich who isn't like at that point in their career, right, where they're trying to transition into like the upper echelon, right? So clearly they think highly of Brandon Allen, and yeah, Strickland just came in and rained all over that parade because you could tell he tried to stick in the firefight with them. He just succumbed to it, though. I mean, his volume was crazy. He just kept throwing.
Allen landed some nice shots, too. The thing I did notice, even though Strickland didn't have the best head movement, is that when he was getting caught, like, on the cheek or chin, he would tend to roll with it a little bit more. Yeah, definitely. He did a better job absorbing it and just kind of moving along with it, where Allen just absorbed those strikes over and over and over again.
Yeah, well, if you look at Strickland's, like, earlier fights, too, he didn't always have that style of just keep walking you down and throwing constant punches. He used to be more like on the back foot, elusive, that kind of stuff. So I think he is really comfortable rolling with shots because of that style that he used to have. And now he can kind of like incorporate that into the walk you down and pepper you with shots style. And he can just throw in that head movement wherever he needs, or not head movement, but the rolling with shots when they do come. Yeah, he's interesting, man. I'm excited to keep watching him fight. I mean, 22-3. All of a sudden, he kind of just emerges as potential top-tier guy if he can continue. I like him.
So with Strickland, what I did hear on Halloween night, too, where they were saying that he hadn't been active due to being in a motorcycle accident. So I don't know how long he was gone, but to come back...
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So he comes back, fights on Halloween, fights again 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
With a couple W's, man. I mean,
making up for lost time.
And he might be back in there 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, if you look at his losses, he has 3 losses, right? His first loss is against Santiago Ponzinibbio. Not a slouch. Very good fighter. Then he lost to Kamaru Usman.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, who's that guy? And then Elizu Zaleski, who's not a slouch whatsoever. So his 3 losses are not just like random losses. He lost to very good fighters. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to keep watching him fight.
Me too. Yoder versus Granger. I think this is one I sent you a picture of.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was a couple of weird positions that they ended up in, and it was like a reverse north-south position. Well,
and it was like, because Yoder went for the triangle. And instead of trying to...
And then the armbar.
Well, first he went for the triangle, and Granger, instead of trying to, like, step over or turn or, like, collapse herself or, like, stack her, basically, she leaned back. And I was like, I don't know.
And try to use her legs to push her away, right?
Well, first she just leaned back. And then she just kind of found herself in a spot where she could use her legs. and then she pushed her away with her legs, and then they just were in like this weird stalemate where they were just kind of laying there. And then she
was like, you move. No, you move first.
She was kind of like hitting her in the stomach, and it was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, there was a couple of times where they just got in some weird positions. I think there's another time up against the cage too.
Yeah.
But Yoder's I picked Yoder for this fight, and she was the underdog.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
I think it was like plus 130, if I remember correctly,
something
for
like
Yoder.
That. Yeah. I remember when I watching this card, I was like, man, I really should have parlayed. I didn't look at the odds for this going into this card, but then as they were announcing the fights, I was like, really? That's the underdog? That's interesting. And then they'd win, and then it's like, fuck, dude. And then the next one, oh, really? That's the underdog? And then they won. And it's like, fuck, man, I should have looked at this before. But yeah,
that's how it works. And then next time you're gonna be like, I'm gonna parlay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with all these underdogs, and all the favorites are gonna win.
Yeah, and then my bookie won't take my card.
Still?
No, yeah, sometimes.
That's awesome.
There's no rhyme or reason.
I mean, I don't have much to say about the fight.
Yeah,
it was another fun fight though. I mean, overall, the entire card was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, some things that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever.
That was a fight.
It was.
That
indeed.
was a fight. In the night of fights, that was one of them.
The analysis is spot on.
Yeah.
All right. Alhassan versus Williams.
This one was the other one that I was very surprised to see Khaos Williams as the underdog. And this is one of those times where it was like, remember in the Chappelle show, like the when keeping it real goes wrong?
Of course.
Remember I was praying that this wasn't going to be one of those moments, because Khaos Williams had one of the meanest mugs going into this fight, where he was just, as soon as he started walking out, just mean mugging hardcore, wouldn't look away. And you see Alhassan just kind of walking around doing his thing, and then it cuts back to Khaos, and he's just mean mugging. And it's like, man, please do not get starched. Do not get starched after that. But yeah, usually, I was just surprised. This was one of those fights where it was like, if this gets past the first round, it's going to start to get interesting, because, I mean, now Khaos Williams, in his 2 UFC fights, he hasn't even left like the first minute, I'm pretty sure. So I want to see him get tested, and I was thinking Alhassan maybe at least will be able to do that and test him a little bit, but it was just, man, the shot that he hit him with too is insane. Didn't make any sense.
It was, and it was such a quick straight right.
Yeah,
such a quick straight
right in, because he had his guard up.
Right on
got him real quick.
And he stiffened up, man. So it was a legitimate knockout.
Yeah, he lifted him off his feet, and then
and he had that one last blow at the end, and I was like, dude, that wasn't necessary. Super necessary, as Masvidal says, but
yeah,
dude,
I did like how in his post-fight interview though he talked about, like, he's like, I hope he's okay, like, because it was tough, man. He was already like halfway through his interview by the time Alhassan finally got up onto a stool. Like, Jeez. It was a bad one, man, and I'm pretty sure he was like on the ground like twitching for a bit too, which is always not fun.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that when the ref, who was it, Mark Smith, was telling Williams to move away, and in the background he's like hunched over him, and you see one of his legs kind of doing this, and then they cut away real quick, and it's like, we talked about that before, where
they don't want that.
I mean, this is Disney, you know what I mean? They see that, they're like, oh,
dude, just
gotta cut to a different camera,
and they're like, no, we can't show that.
So it was pretty bad, man, and I'm pretty sure Alhassan is fighting out of Fort Worth too, if I remember correctly. So
he's out of Fortis. Fortis MMA, which in his 2 UFC fights, Khaos Williams has first round knockouts over 2 Fortis MMA guys. So they're probably stoked about him. They probably love that guy.
He's probably just saying, just line him up. Keep lining him up.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, I'm interested to see him keep fighting, man. I want to see him I want to see more of his game. You know, that's one of those things where, obviously, it's cool the first round knockouts in like inside 30 seconds, but I want to see more. I want to see what he can do. I know he hits hard, you know?
Hopefully he gets another fight here before the end of the year. He took 0 damage.
Yeah. Did he even get hit?
0. I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either.
I think they were kind of like feeling each other out. Maybe a leg kick, I think. A calf kick?
Yeah. This was another one where I think Alhassan missed weight. They fought it. I'm pretty sure he missed weight, and they ended up doing a catch weight at 172. I don't think Williams lost weight or missed weight. So just all in all, and even the Strickland Allen card or fight, that was a catch weight, but also short notice. Just a weird card.
Which brings me to this next guy who did miss weight.
I know, dude.
On 5 days' notice, and on his post-fight interview for Paul Felder, I love how he went hard on. Yeah, he went hard in the paint, and he was just talking about how on 5 days' notice, Thursday night was one of the most miserable nights he had ever had. Yeah. But he told himself he was going to be the first on the scale, and that he was going to make weight, and he did, man.
Dude, it's like how many things are there left to do for Paul Felder to earn more respect? Is there anything else he can do to earn even more respect? I don't think there is. I think he's done everything you possibly can to be respected by everybody. Like, that guy is just insane, man.
I hadn't realized how long he had been in the game, too. They were saying that he debuted in the UFC in 2008.
Did he really?
That's what I said.
That's crazy.
What I said. And I think it was, who was it? It wasn't Bisping.
No,
was it Frazier that was on there with him last night?
It couldn't have been Felder.
No?
No, because his first professional fight was in 2011.
Okay, so maybe 2012?
His first UFC fight was 2014.
2014.
Yeah, but still 6 years.
That makes more sense. 6 years? Yeah, 6 years, and he's one of those guys, again, that no matter who he's fighting, I'll tune in and watch. Every single time.
Every single time. Yeah.
And he looked good, man.
Dude, his hands. I was surprised. I mean, we'll talk about RDA too, but man, his hands were so fast. It's almost like, and Bisping talks about it all the time, and he even talked about it on this night, where when you take a fight on such short notice, you know that nobody expects you to win. So you can go in there almost carefree and just let it go. Have fun in there. So all that pressure, the UFC pressure that they talk about, it's all gone. So he can just let it all go. And that's the Felder that we get when he lets it go. Man, he's so accurate. Those shots he was landing like 3-punch combos on RDA that I was just like, fuck, dude. Especially at the start of every round. He started every round hot, which was fun to watch.
Super quick, man. Again, with him, too, his straight right kept on finding a home. His left hook found a home a couple times, and that's where it got the little cut for Dos Anjos early. Mm-hmm. But, man, Dos Anjos had a beautiful game plan going in, his level of execution, and they kept on talking about how every single time that Felder would get to the black lines, that was the green light for RDA to go ahead and shoot in. Because he would just be able to shoot in, put him up against the cage, try to get his hands together and take him down.
And that's when...
So it was just such a beautiful game plan.
Yeah, it was either the 4th or the 5th. I think it was the 5th. Because I thought Duke Rufus's corner work was amazing for Felder. You can tell they have such a good connection. And I think he said, like, after the 3rd, he was like, we need to finish. And then... before the 5th, he was talking about, like, his family, all that stuff. Like, what do you do this for? All this stuff, right? That kind of stuff, which is always awesome. But Felder came out in the 4th and 5th rounds head hunting and was landing a ton of shots to the point where RDA shot for a takedown in the center of the ring or the cage. Mm-hmm. And that was, for me, was telling that he actually maybe stunned a little bit, because up until that point, you could tell game plan was as soon as his back is against the cage, shoot. But never did he shoot in the center of the cage until Felder was kind of piecing him up a little bit at the start of one of those later rounds. And then I was like, man, this might turn. It didn't, because RDA is super resilient, but it was impressive to see. To have
and all things considered, man. Again, 5 days notice. Think about having to drop that weight
Yeah.
And,
The fact
you know,
that they kept this 5 rounds, I'm sure is because Felder was like, no, keep this 5 rounds. Because other times,
savage.
Other times when people get bumped to a main card or someone steps in for a main event, they drop it to 3 rounds. Not every time, but
They drop it at 3 rounds for Zabit just for because he doesn't want to fight 5 rounds. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
but man, yeah.
The fact that
he hadn't stepped in an MMA gym. He said in 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, he retired after his last fight. You know.
Yeah.
Also, an outstanding fight. That was a fucking war, dude.
I think this was a win-win for Paul Felder no matter what. Probably why he went in there so loose. You know, but going in there, saving the card, that was a win in Dana's eyes and the UFC eyes, right? He's a company man.
Dude, you could tell, even the commentary team, it was so biased for Felder. And I
Uber
get
biased.
It. Everybody fucking loves the guy because how could you not? Like, he's so respectful, and not only is he super respectful, but every single one of his fights is a fucking dog fight where he gives it everything. Fighting with broken arm, fighting with a fucking collapsed lung. Like, the dude's a fucking animal, man. So, like, he just earns, and you could tell when he's interviewing fighters after their fights, everybody just respects him so much. So, yeah, I mean, obviously this is the story of the fight. We're still talking about it, but... And I want to give credit to RDA, too, because I was really worried this was going to be talked about as, like, a lose-lose situation where if RDA loses, he got beat by somebody on 5 days' notice who retired, right? That's not a good look for RDA if Felder wins this fight. And then I was afraid that the narrative would be, if he won, that the narrative would be, yeah, you beat a guy on 5 days' notice. Instead, we're getting the narrative of how fucking tough is Paul Felder. We're not talking about how RDA looked bad and allowed Felder to look good on 5 days' notice. It's just Felder's that badass. So I'm glad that
best case scenario for RDA, I think, because Felder showed up. Mm-hmm. He showed up, man, and again, he was extremely tough. In this case, yes, 5 days' notice, but man, again, he looks so good.
Yeah, he
crisp shots,
he looked really good, and his takedown defense, man. I mean, he got taken down, but his takedown defense looked good. And every time he did get taken down, he was able to escape. Which, dude, a lot of people don't escape RDA's top game. That guy's an animal.
Yeah, and so for me, coming out of this, it reminded me how much of a dog RDA is too, and how much of a problem he can be in this weight division. And so I start thinking about the movement in the weight division, in the weight class now, with Khabib being gone. We have these fights coming up here with I don't know. There's been some teasers. But McGregor and Poirier going down. You know, I've seen the talk of El Kukui and Chandler possibly. You know, and so I think
Oliveira's.
where has he been?
He can't get a fight, dude. Everybody's talking about fighting
Charles
each other.
Oliveira.
Nobody wants to talk about him because nobody wants to fight him because that's the dark horse where he's still relatively unknown as far as like casual fans go. So these guys, I don't think want to risk fighting him. But at this point, I feel like he has to fight somebody within that.
Why not go RDA versus Oliveira? Because RDA is saying he wants to fight for the title again. Yeah. Right? It seems like we already have the other 4 figured out. So why not give us Charles Oliveira and RDA so we can kind of eliminate one of those guys? Yeah. And figure out what's going to happen with the other ones.
I'd be cool with Oliveira versus Hooker. That's kind of what I want to see.
Oh, that'd be so good too.
Hooker's still technically ranked above him, right? In the rankings, he's still 5th, where Oliveira's 6th. But that'd be such a fun fight. RDA, RDA Hooker would be fun too. But RDA Oliveira would be. I would love to see RDA versus Oliveira, but I think for Oliveira, strategically, I wouldn't take that fight. But another thing for RDA that I want to talk about too, to give him credit for, is people don't realize, like, everybody focuses on the guy who took the fight on short notice, who stepped in without the training camp, all this stuff. But man, RDA was game planning for a long time for a very specific style of fighter, and that style of fighter is completely opposite from Paul Felder. So his whole training camp is catered towards stuffing takedowns, not getting backed up against the cage, all this stuff, fighting an elite wrestler, where now he steps in with a vicious striker. That on 5 days' notice, that's impressive for him to be able to carry out his game plan. It shows, really shows the fact that like he's a former champ and he has like champion level fight IQ and can make adjustments. So man, I was so impressed with RDA in this fight. Obviously, I was really pulling for Felder to win, but man, RDA looks fucking good, dude. He looks good.
So
he's
was I.
a problem.
And I picked Felder too. I picked Felder, and I knew this was going to be a really tough matchup. He was
Chris Lee,
an underdog going in.
Yeah, Chris Lee sided with you. Did you catch that?
No.
Chris Lee gave it.
No, yeah.
Okay.
That's right. And even Felder, did you see his face? He's like, what the fuck was this guy watching?
Dude, how about this?
Hey, props to Felder, though, because he didn't hide his emotions on that. He really was like, dude, okay.
Yeah, and how about this? Chris Lee, who scored the main event for Paul Felder, has been involved in 10 UFC/Bellator split decisions in 2020, and he was the dissenting judge in 7 of them. So he's been involved in 10 split decisions, and 7 of them, he was the one that was like the outlier. What are you watching, man?
Where Bisping said, whoever scored that fight might want to just take a look in the mirror and just ask themselves if they should be doing another job or something like that.
No, he said they should take a long look at themselves in the mirror and then find a new job. Damn, dude.
Hey, honesty.
But
I
true,
respect
man.
it.
What are you doing here? And then, did you see what Gilbert Burns tweeted about it too?
No.
He said, and I mean, it's like kind of just known now, but he was like, fuck these judges. I'm always looking for the finish, but sometimes it's hard. These judges are doing a terrible job. Wow, please, Dana or UFC or whoever can help. Please, we cannot have our payments decided 1 or 2 checks by these crazy judges. It's crazy, man, that we're still talking about this. It's insane. And obviously there was big controversy last night with boxing too, and it's not as like blatant and in your face as boxing is, but it's fucking disappointing, man. It's disappointing.
It is.
I could argue. I actually don't even agree with any of the judges last night. I thought Felder won. Was it round 4? Maybe round 4, I think it was. I had him winning one of the rounds. I think it was the 4th round. I don't agree that RDA took all 5 rounds, but
yeah,
like, how can someone watch that fight and say that Felder won? It's just crazy. He must have been watching boxing. It's like, what the fuck was he watching? He must have had the boxing feed on.
Did not take any takedowns, any wrestling, any jiu-jitsu into account. And he was just focusing strictly on the striking. That's the only way I can think of how Chris Lee said that fight went to Felder.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Yeah, and even the striking, man. RDA, dude, his left hand, holy shit. Mm-hmm. His left hand is a piston, man. It's so fast. You could tell Felder, probably because he didn't have any sparring going into this, but you could tell he just couldn't get away from that left hand. It was so fast. And the left body kick.
Second behind it.
Yeah.
Oh, gnarly.
Dude.
So gnarly. That part where RDA caught him with the left, and it cuts Felder, and Felder like watches and goes, "Fuck."
Yeah.
Dude, I love Felder, man.
Yeah, dude.
Again, one of my favorite people to watch.
Yeah, he's just. I was so excited that they actually interviewed him after. I was like, they fucking better, dude, because let this guy talk. And yeah, the fact that he came out and just like shit on everybody for not making weight. If anybody who doesn't make weight at this point, what are you doing? If he can do it on 5 days' notice, and he's fought at welterweight, you know, it's not like he's a small lightweight, you know.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again: the consequences have to be bigger.
Yeah,
they have to be bigger, man.
Yeah.
You know, if a fighter knows if I miss weight a certain amount of times, I'm automatically getting cut from the UFC, they'll take it a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Or if it's a larger loss in the beginning, if there's a suspension that's involved in the second one, you know, like. There just has to be something larger involved where they say, I just can't afford to continue missing weight, or I just have to go ahead and move up a weight class. Like, I can't wait for the UFC to tell me to move up. If I myself know, like, 2 more of these and I'll be cut automatically.
Yeah, I wonder if also if it gets, like, if they win, it gets changed to a no contest. I wonder if they'd ever do that. I mean, they probably wouldn't, but I wonder how that would play out. You know, like, say me and you were fighting and I miss weight. You beat me, it's a win. I take a loss. But if I beat you, it's a no contest. the only problem with that is like, would you even take the fight? You know, like it'd be
Yeah.
kind of like
At that point, would you want to take on damage, possibly losing?
Yeah.
If you can't win anyways.
Yeah. Maybe not.
But again, then there could be something in the contract where UFC says you miss weight, and at that point, if you deny the fight, then you're cut.
Yeah.
Because you put yourself in that position.
Yeah. Or we transition this to a more legit sport like they try to pretend to be, and actually have true UFC rankings, not rankings decided by journalists. And if you miss weight and win, you have to fight someone under you in the rank. You don't get to progress through the rankings.
So you can't move up.
Yeah, until you beat somebody with making weight. Because the reality is you didn't fight in that weight class. So why should you leapfrog anybody in that weight class? You know?
It's true. Yeah, and you listened to Felder last night too, and he says, even though I lost, I'm ranked 7th in the division.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this hurts, my progression within the UFC. Because he said, rankings don't mean anything these days.
Yeah.
He said that.
They all
so
say
he feels
that.
like he's still in the mix,
and
he's still in the top 10.
And Khabib's gone, allegedly. So that opens the eyes on some people in the lightweight division. Like, remember what we talked about? I think people subconsciously, when there's a dominant champion in their division, every fighter tells themselves, I can beat everybody in the world. I really think subconsciously some of them say, I won't be champ as long as this person's here. And as soon as that person's there, it like lights a fire underneath them, and they get to a whole new level that they could have achieved in the first place, but there's like a weird little mental block because, I don't know. I'm not a fighter. I'm in my pajamas.
So
here.
he's maybe Felder is like, I won't be able to beat Khabib ever. Khabib leaves, and he's like, maybe I shouldn't retire. Yeah. I take a look at most of these folks that are ranked above me, and I feel like I have a fair shot against every single one of them.
Yeah, exactly. You don't think he thinks that he could beat Dan Hooker after their fight? I bet you. He could have won that fight.
Oh, yeah.
They could have given it to him. He beat Edson Barbosa. He has a win over Charles Oliveira. So, come on. You don't want to see a fight with him and Gaethje? Son of a bitch. Yep. It'd be awesome.
I want to see Felder fight anybody now.
I know.
Like I said, just throw him in there against anybody.
Yeah,
and I'll watch it.
Except someone like Ben Askren. I don't want to see him fight some only takedown specialist. Yeah. I just don't want to see that. I want to see wars, bro. Even though it sucks.
I want to see wars. I don't want to see him bleed.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Come on.
That's hilarious. All right. Do you have anything else on the card?
I don't think so. It was a pretty short card. It was pretty main event heavy, which is crazy that it was a replacement fight, but no, not really off that card.
All right, so I guess this moves us over to Will's Wisdom. There we go. Fix the glasses. Spray them down. Getting serious. Oh, dude. Very much like Hardy. I like it. So, quick questions. I'm very much more exciting for you. Yeah, identical. More exciting fight for you. Adesanya versus Blachowicz versus Teixeira. Why?
I don't want to see Izzy versus Jan because their reason of justifying it is them saying Whitaker doesn't want the fight, so there's no clear contender for Izzy, so it's not stalemating his division for him to move up. I understand that logic if it was true that Whitaker didn't want to fight. What I don't understand is them completely ignoring the fact that this is holding up the light heavyweight division. Mm-hmm. Their way of justifying this doesn't even acknowledge the fact that the light heavyweight division all of a sudden is thriving. And that pisses me off. On top of that, Glover, goddamn, dude. I think he could really become the champ if he fights Jan. And that would be really cool to see because Glover has such a crazy story, man, about how he couldn't fight in the UFC forever, dude. They couldn't get him a visa. I think he was banished or some shit from Brazil. All this stuff postponed his fighting career in the UFC, where we missed out on his prime in the UFC at least. And now he's here, and it's towards the end of his career, and he's the number one contender. We all knew that before this Izzy bullshit, we all knew that Santos versus Glover was the title fight eliminator. Everybody thought it was going to go to Santos, which is a much easier sell, right? With Santos arguably beating John Jones versus Jan would have been a great fight. But man, Glover, it's like every single one of his fights now, he gets dropped, looks like he's out, and then ends up getting on top of you and then just beating the shit out of you. I want to see that.
And he's making a run for the NMF belt as well.
God, he
Mr.
really
Glover
is,
Teixeira.
dude. He's so nice.
Guy.
Yeah, and
I know.
him stylistically, him versus Jan is a fun fight, dude. That's an old school light heavyweight fucking brawl fight, dude. That's what I want to see.
And there's so much going on back and forth, right? When you hear about Whitaker, and more's coming out now where Whitaker says, I just want to spend Christmas with my family.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely respect, man. You know, you've earned that right. Take the time with your family. Mm-hmm. And if UFC gives you the middle finger for that, then you just give the middle finger right back, man, and say, well, I'll fight later on and I'll still be able to take that belt later on down the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
I just respect somebody that sticks to their guns like that and that has so much conviction when it comes to being a family man.
I mean, that's Robert Whitaker. The guy's like a champion in and out of the cage. I mean, the guy's such a respectable guy. The other thing is, this trend of champions switching divisions and fighting the other champ so early in their runs is just crazy to me. You can argue that Izzy doesn't have a true contender right now. You can make the argument. I disagree. I actually do want to see Whitaker fight him again. But you can't say it's a super fight just because Jan has the belt when Jan just got it and hasn't defended once when there's clear contenders in his division. It's not a super fight yet. It's just not.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the money too, right? Like if you're Blachowicz, do you want to try to get a bigger payday or do you want to just try to build on a legacy for yourself? Because I think he does have a shot of beating Glover as well and being able to say he at least defended his title once.
Yeah. How about this,
but
though, man?
I'm pretty sure Glover versus Blachowicz won't sell the way
it won't.
Adesanya versus Blachowicz
It won't. But with the new pay-per-view structure, it doesn't actually matter how many pay-per-view. It doesn't matter how many views it gets. UFC makes a flat rate now. It doesn't matter. I don't know how that works for fighter pay and stuff like that. It might matter more for the fighters. It probably does. But you don't think that Izzy versus Robert Whitaker in New Zealand, where they can sell out a stadium, you don't think that is more interesting to the UFC? I don't know why they're not pushing for that. Because they can do that now. They can do that. Can do that tomorrow. They can sell out an arena in New Zealand legally, safely, all that stuff. Be totally cool. I don't know why they're not pursuing that. That's the fight, in my opinion. Robert Whitaker versus Adesanya in New Zealand. Have everybody from Australia come over for Whitaker. Everybody in the hometown for Adesanya. Fill a stadium. They'd be the first major sporting event with a full stadium again. I mean, yeah, there's rugby and stuff like that happening right now over there with full stadiums, but it's rugby, you know? Like, it's very... Like, rugby's cool.
It's rugby.
I'm not talking shit, man. I like rugby, but it's not as big as the UFC globally, you know?
The one person that watches rugby that watches us is just like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Come on.
So, next question.
Yeah.
Holland will now face Hermanson. Too soon or perfect timing for Holland?
Perfect timing for Holland. It's a winnable fight for him. In his second UFC fight, he fought Thiago Santos. Like, I mean, he's ready for this type of competition. We've been saying it. He's ready for it. These lower competition fights that he's getting isn't necessarily because that's all he can handle. It's just because he's taking them so quick. And we've talked about it before where as you go up the rankings, you kind of lose that liberty of taking fights back to back to back like that because other fighters are more picky and choosy and stuff like that at that higher level. So I don't think it's these fights that we've been seeing him in are a true level of competition for him. I think Hermanson versus him is fucking awesome, dude. It's a great fight, and I think it's a fight that will help him become more disciplined in his striking defense and things like that, and his placement and his distance control. Especially because Hermanson, if he gets a hold of you, I mean, you're going to go down. So I'm super excited for that fight. I think it's a great fight.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. All right. Rumble recently posted, got a call this weekend, but going to wait to share the news with you. So I'm guessing it's a fight.
Fucking honey.
Who should Rumble come back to fight?
Well, so he's coming back to light heavyweight, right? He was originally going to come back
Yep.
as heavyweight, but now he's like, John Jones is gone? Light heavyweight.
Yep.
So
DC's gone? Light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight. I say he goes in and he fights Thiago Santos.
Okay.
Thiago Santos.
Rough for Thiago Santos.
Hey, man,
But-
if he wants to be in the top, you got to fucking...
Yeah.
I mean, because he's not going to fight anybody outside of the top 5. I don't think. They're not going to... Rumble's coming back for a
He
main
shouldn't.
event. Rumble's coming back for a main event. Either a main event or a
For
co-main. Yeah, he's got to come back against someone like Santos. I wouldn't be surprised, because the UFC is dirty sometimes, if they go Izzy versus Jan and Glover versus Rumble. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. And then they just let...
What if they did
Old
that on
man.
the same card?
I'd cry. Because remember what happened last time? Rumble fought Glover?
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
wasn't that
violent.
when his tooth went flying?
Yeah, and then the thing about Glover is all these few wins that he's strung together, I'm not going to call them lucky, I'm not going to call them flukes, because he gets dropped. They're fights that he should be losing, but his resilience and he recovers so quick that he can do it. But you cannot do that from rumble punches. Thiago
Rumble
Santos
punches.
hits hard, but rumble punches way harder. Rumble hits you, you're done. You know, especially that late in your career.
Yeah. You're in a new dimension.
You're in a new dimension.
Rumble hits you. Yeah. Yeah. So, dude, that's all I had for Will's wisdom this week.
Yeah, we're at that point right now where there's not a ton going on right now in the MMA world. I think everything's kind of like waiting for that like end of the year, New Year's type thing that they always do. And then Super Bowl weekend is always big for the UFC, so I think they're kind of holding their cards close to their chest on a few things.
Which I think is where the McGregor-Poirier fight starts, coming in, and you see some of these bigger fights coming through. Man, I was really hoping that McGregor-Poirier would happen over here in Dallas or the Cowboy Stadium.
I know. They were talking about it.
They were talking about it. I was praying to the MMA gods.
And then the numbers were like, we're going to just keep coming up.
But man, I was really hoping for it.
Yeah. Cool.
And over here, they sit at, I believe it's half capacity right now, which still gives 50,000 fans.
Yeah.
And I would have been one of them, Will.
I might have been.
I would have been one of them. Dude, for sure.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had to pay for a hotel. You could just stay with us.
Yeah.
Right? And we would have gone to the fights. You would have been good.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about Khabib still in the USADA pool? As of this morning, he's still in USADA pool.
I hope we get to see Khabib one more time.
Yeah.
I really do.
Dana said that he's been talking with him this whole time and that he thinks it's going to happen.
I usually don't like the retire, unretire. In this case, extremely emotional from his father just passing. You know, I'm sure the conversation with his mom was extremely emotional. Mm-hmm. So I can understand how he would have made that decision.
Yeah.
And now, as time's passing, the grieving process is going through. He might feel a little bit differently in honoring his father a different way.
I don't think he feels any differently. I think maybe his mom is starting to feel differently. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because Khabib promises his mom that he's not going to fight again. It's not going to happen unless she says go for it. Because I don't think he retired because he doesn't want to do it again. I'm sure he wanted to get 30-0 for his father. You know, so.
And what a story it would be if, let's say, McGregor, because I think this is what's going to happen. I think they're going to turn it into a title fight.
Yeah.
Between Poirier and McGregor, right?
Yeah.
So let's say Poirier wins it or McGregor wins it, and what a story it would be for Khabib to just say, "I'm coming to get my belt back." And then once I get it, I'm leaving again, bitches.
Yeah, I mean, they're both of those fights are just such easy work for him too. Like I love Poirier.
Easy work.
I'm not a huge Conor fan, but I do agree with his skill set. But styles make fights, and we've seen it. We've seen both of them against Khabib before, and I don't think it would go any differently.
You never know. Conor can catch him with the left. You never know, right? He has a puncher's chance.
He has a puncher's chance.
And I don't think he's going to out-grapple Khabib.
Yeah, the problem, though,
10 out of 10 times, Khabib's going to out-grapple Conor.
Yeah, I think the problem, though, is just the the threat of the takedowns from Khabib and that pressure, it just doesn't allow you to even get set to land your shots. And then we saw that with the first Conor fight. I mean, Khabib dropped Conor. Conor never hit Khabib clean. The only clean shot Conor landed on Khabib was an illegal knee. You know, that was like the cleanest shot for Conor the whole fight. I think the best strikers when they're against Khabib, they just can't even get their footing because they're always worried about getting taken down. And it's just...
Yeah, and the thing I did notice too, I remember on that fight, Conor usually has that long, wide, like karate stance.
Yep.
And it wasn't so wide that time.
You didn't want to give him his
leg.
leg.
And I think it was... Exactly. And he did a pretty good job of defending the takedown that first round.
Yeah, because he grabbing the gloves, grabbing the shorts, grabbing the fence.
But how long can you do that? Because you know you're you know you're going to get taken down.
Yeah, you have to cheat. You have to cheat. And luckily he had Herb Dean in there who just gives 10 warnings per fight instead of just taking points away.
Stop messing with my boy Herb Dean, man.
Dude, it's getting bad, man. I'm tired of these warnings. Everybody knows the rules. You grab a fence.
Hey, Herzog.
You grab a fence. You don't do that on accident. You do that on instinct. Or you do it
Herzog did another good job last night, though.
He's great.
And
he's the best.
When I've been paying more attention to Herzog ever since you said that he's your favorite referee right now, and he calls for action a little early.
Yeah, definitely.
But you notice that it's. I feel like he calls for it when he doesn't see anything that's gonna come.
Yeah,
from,
if
you know what I mean?
Notice when people are like in the clinch up against the cage and stuff. He's like on the cage looking for like hand positions, see if they're actually working to like improve underhooks and stuff like that. I think he's so good, dude. I think he's really good. Unfortunately, he missed the Gaethje tap, but outside of that, man, he's like almost blemish free with his record, which is tough.
Maybe they talked in the locker room and Gaethje said, "If I tap, that means I'm good."
Yeah. If I tap, that means I want to concede this round.
Exactly, just like Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Well, that's all I got, man. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, it's nice to be back after the 2 weeks, and everybody, thanks for listening to Story of the Fight.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Story of the Fight. We really appreciate everybody's support. If you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, and when you do subscribe, make sure that you hit the notification button as well. That way you get notified whenever we upload anything new. Don't forget to hit the like button. It goes a long way for us. And leave some comments. We love interacting with everybody.
Yeah, and if you want to stay even more up to date, you can follow us at Story of the Fight on Instagram and Twitter. And you can email us at storyofthefight@gmail.com. Ask questions, give us feedback, critique us. We want to make this better, and input helps us do that.
Thanks for listening to Story of the Fight, everybody.